Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
This is shaping up to be one of the craziest NBA offseasons of all time. On top of everything that has already happened and will happen, Jaylen Brown just got traded to the 76ers. Also, it's hard to focus on the Commissioner's Cup and the great basketball in the WNBA with all the drama surrounding Caitlin Clark. And the U.S. men's national team advances to the round of 16 in a thriller, but it could come at a cost. I'm Peter Ruszkowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
After investigating the trade market for Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Boston Celtics did not trade Jaylen Brown. Instead, they decided to trade him for, hold on, let me check my notes here. Paul George and 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. John Corrales from Locked On Celtics. That can't be right, can it?
I think this is absolutely, yeah. This is a great trade. This is 2018. Am I yep. Wrong? Did yep. I fell earlier and I hit my head. This makes perfect sense for me. I'm in. Yeah, this is a tough one. After kind of trying to work through it, I think there's a long-term play here. And I think what a lot of Celtics fans wanted was, oh my God, we just lost to the Philadelphia 76ers. How do we avoid that? And instead we said, here you go. Here's a second team All-NBA player for you. Mm-hmm. Can you give us your oldest, most fragile wing and some picks? And that's where we are. So it feels terrible short term. So, yeah.
Okay. And compounded by the fact that they did not get premium future assets either, although 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks is not nothing. When you did a little breaking news social clip that I saw you put out, and your point was essentially, if this was the deal, then the Celtics needed to have been a little bit more aggressive, parting ways with young pieces and just traded for Giannis.
Yeah. If they wanted to be good this year, that would have made sense. So why didn't they? I'm going to go full Brian Windhorst. Why would they do that? They clearly weren't trying to win a championship this year, because if they were, they would have gone just for Giannis and said, okay, we're going to upgrade our second team All-NBA guy for an MVP candidate, and we'll take the risk of the injuries. Clearly, somebody being an injury risk is not a problem for them. So they would have done that deal. To me, it is about, okay, the actions tell me this is not about the 26-27 season. So it's not exactly a gap year, because Jason Tatum still exists and he's going to be healthy. And they did just get Mitchell Robinson, and they still have Derek White and Peyton Pritchard in good players. They have good players. So this will still be a good team. What Celtics fans wanted was a great team, and that's not what the Celtics were building. They are going to very clearly take whatever approximation of Jaylen Brown that Paul George can give them for this season, for however many games that gives them, cross their fingers and hope that they get lucky with a 60-game season and availability in the playoffs. And maybe they could be like, hey, look at this. It was fine. But the bigger thing is getting to that expiring contract next season, because Paul George only has 2 years left on his deal, and using that big expiring money to find their true target next summer. I think that is the only path that makes this trade make any sense.
And that has to be a tough pill to swallow for Celtics fans who, are coming off a title. You have the unceremonious end to last season, and then you have this sort of magical run through the regular season where you're a 50-plus win team with just Jaylen Brown. You get Tatum back sooner than you thought. I don't want to say luck into, but you sort of, you moneyball your way into this group of role players. And you're sort of like, by the time the playoff comes around, I'm sure there are a lot of Celtics fans that talk themselves into, hey, we can win the title this year. And now, 3 months later or less, they're looking at this. That's tough, John.
That is very tough. And that's why I say, like, this is a time for fans to work through their emotions. Throw stuff, don't break stuff. Please don't hurt yourself, but cry, scream, yell, say Brad Stevens needs to be fired, all that stuff. Just get through it all.
I hope the bars have restocked the beer in Boston after the World Cup.
I know the Scots just came running through here, and there's just like some Coors Light left. But I think there's enough here to drown sorrows. I think we're still at drowning sorrows level. So go do that. Just go do that. I am in no way telling Celtics fans that this is okay in the short term. I know what they wanted. Brad Stevens made it sound like he was going to deliver what they wanted, but it is obvious that they are not prioritizing the 26-27 season as of right now. Maybe that changes. Maybe they get lucky and they do. It happens again. 50-win season, and you go into the playoffs with some hope. But the long term, and you look at some of the picks that they got, maybe they include those in a trade, but 2031 pick, unprotected from the Sixers. 5 years from now, Joel Embiid is gone. Jaylen Brown will be gone. Who knows what the Sixers are at that point? The second apron will have come and torn them to shreds. So that could be a valuable pick somewhere down the line that either the Celtics make or include in a trade. There's stuff here. I'm just putting that thought into a Celtics fan's head, not for the right now. Now's not the time to process that. But later on, when you're done and you get through the other side, just understand that there's a wait and see element to this that could be, this wasn't so bad.
Stay up to date all year on the Boston Celtics by subscribing to Locked On Celtics on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. Your Locked On Sports today. Coming up, we try to make sense of all the mess that's going on in the W. Before we get to that, the U.S. men did the unthinkable, down a man, and got through the round of 32 at the World Cup. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. We certainly got plenty in this U.S. Bosnia-Herzegovina match. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. Check, check, check. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. Now FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with Every Goal Pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals means more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. We've all seen those matches where it's scoreless for what feels like forever, and then one goal completely flips the game. Suddenly everyone's pressing, the crowd comes alive, and the final 20 minutes become must-watch television. And now you get the benefit of each goal scored. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. The U.S. men are into the round of 16, but it came with a pretty big catch. The Americans beat Bosnia-Herzegovina 2-0 in Santa Clara, getting a first-half goal from Flo Balogun and a late free kick beauty from Malik Tillman to seal it when they were down a man. I'll explain. Balogun, the team's leading scorer in this tournament, was sent off in the second half after VAR upgraded a challenge to a serious foul play, a controversial red card that could leave him suspended for the next match against Belgium. The U.S. still managed to close it out with 10 men, winning just its second knockout game in World Cup history and its first since 2002. Yes, it's a massive night for American soccer, but now comes the nervous wait. Can they keep the run going without the guy who helped get them there, or will the U.S. push for an appeal on such a questionable red card? Over in the NBA, the Lakers made some more offseason moves, trading for Walker Kessler and adding free agent Colin Sexton.
This is Andy Kamenetsky, co-host of the Locked On Lakers podcast, and per Shams Charania of ESPN and other outlets, the Lakers have made a trade for free agent center Walker Kessler, formerly of the Utah Jazz. They will be sending unprotected first-round picks in 2031 and 2033 and first-round swaps in 2028 and 2030. The deal involves no Lakers players going to Utah, and the contract itself for Kessler, 4 years, $130 million, with a player option year 4. There's a lot to break down here, and we'll definitely have more analysis coming up on multiple shows with Locked On Lakers. But the nutshell take, it's a steep price. The Lakers gave up their remaining 2 first-round picks at their immediate disposal, and they are not an asset-rich team to begin with. It's also, while not quite as high of an AAV as some thought could be necessary to make Utah blink, like 35 mil plus, it's significant money and a lot for a player who has been very injury prone during his young career and is totally unproven in the playoffs, which he's never been in, or NBA games that really matter, which he's never played. Like, the Lakers need to be right in their analysis of Kessler. But that said, the dude, when healthy, is a defensive and rebounding beast. Both sides of the glass, he's been an elite shot blocker and rim protector, which is really important for a team built around Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, who need defensive reinforcement. And while Kessler's not super skilled offensively in terms of a variety of ways he can score, he has been excellent around the rim. Luka is a virtuoso at making centers look great. It's one of his calling cards. And bottom line, this is a big signing for the Lakers, and one that Rob Pelinka needed to pull off after going heavily in the cap space and restricted free agent path. Walker Kessler and Jalen Duren were their first 2 targets, and Rob Pelinka ultimately got his guy and still has around $23 million in cap space to play with. So this is a big box checked for the Lakers. Still work to be done, but big box checked, and something I think Laker fans should be excited about. For more Lakers coverage, make sure you're watching Locked On Lakers on YouTube and listening wherever you get your podcasts.
The Yankees, oh boy, the Yankees lost to the Tigers in extras on Wednesday, extending their losing streak to 7, their longest losing streak in 3 years.
Now, as for Camilo Doval, he put himself in a position where he had a chance to get out of it, but he walked Torkelson to force in a run with the bases loaded. Now, the garbage of the ball being thrown around to force in the 4th run of the inning is embarrassing. And that leads us to a stat. The Yanks, 17 errors in the last 12 games. And since we mentioned it, let's do this.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
All right. Day in and day out, trying to figure out a turning point every single night can be tedious at times. This one felt like the Caballero punt. Now, at no point did I say now they're definitely going to lose, but I didn't love it in that situation, and it turned out to be right because the Yankees did not score in the 10th and obviously didn't score in the 11th either.
And the Cubs, who were supporting a historic losing streak just a few weeks ago, have suddenly hit their stride once again, finishing off a series sweep over the Padres with a, get this, 23-3 rout. That's a football score.
Folks, from 20-3 to 7-22 to now 15-4. Ride the roller coaster that is this season. It's an extreme case of how baseball can be. I'm going to read you a stat. The final score of this ball game was 23-3. That's a baseball score. The Cubs hit 8 home runs. Dansby Swanson hit 3, capped it off with a grand slam off a position player in the 9th. He now has 26 RBIs in his last 10 games. Here are the other players in history to do this. A fella by the name of Joe DiMaggio, a fella by the name of Jimmy Fox. Twice it was done by a fella named Lou Gehrig, and then another one, Mel Ott. He's the first guy to do it since 1939. This is after many people, including us on our show, talked about it, the possibility of benching Dansby Swanson. It was a question that got asked to Jed Hoyer. And basically just had the greatest RBI stretch in 26-game history in baseball. Pete hit another home run. The pitching held up. I don't know how to project this team. All I could do is call what's going on. And maybe their identity this year is to just be that dangerous team where if they get hot, look out. And if they struggle, look out.
This week in the WNBA was supposed to be about the Commissioner's Cup and the great basketball that we've seen this season in the dub. Instead, It became a referendum on Caitlin Clark, on Alyssa Thomas, on the WNBA, and all sorts of thorny issues here. Sophia Jones from Locked On Women's Basketball joins me now. And Sophia, it's hard to catch everybody up if they haven't been paying close attention here. And I feel like we'd spend 5 minutes just trying to give everybody context into what's going on here. So can you just give me what you think is the reason this has become such a talking point this week?
Well, the biggest reason is because Caitlin Clark has just really cemented herself as such a status icon in the space of women's basketball, coming up from her career at Iowa. And you go up against a player like Alyssa Thomas, who is another player who's just really cemented herself in the W. She's a multi-time All-Star, very talented and acclaimed player. However, it's also a case of black versus white. And I think that's something that people have to recognize. And there's just been a lot of discourse around it, whether people are taking Caitlin's side, whether people are taking Alyssa Thomas's side. But essentially, there was a foul committed by Alyssa Thomas on Clark that resulted in suspension. That part was already handled. It's just the aftermath where Alyssa Thomas has claimed that she's received multiple death threats that is really just driving a lot of this narrative that a lot of new fans to the W are probably pretty used to hearing at this point.
Yeah, and the old fans of the W are going, can we not do this anymore? I think is they are just ready to focus on basketball, which is what they were doing right before Caitlin Clark came in and brought a lot of other fans with her. The focus in a lot of ways has shifted toward the league and the commissioner and what is being said or not said, what is being done and not done to protect the players. And I have seen some speculation among folks who cover the WNBA that this is going to be the last season for Cathy Engelbert, that this is not, there's going to need to be a change in leadership because the players are just not going to continue to tolerate this. What do you see happening here?
Well, this started years in the making, looking at how we got to this point with this transformational new CBA in position for the WNBA. It took a lot of negotiating. And I think famously when Nafisa Collier called out Cathy Engelbert before game 1 of the WNBA finals, that's really when it put the finals. Yes, that's really when it put a spotlight on Cathy Engelbert, and she was being asked questions by a lot of media reporters just if they think she's fit for the job. And the players have asked that for a while. There just seems to be a lot of tension between them and league offices for a while. And with this recent scenario, like I mentioned, Alyssa Thomas, she received a lot of online harassment, death threats, racial slurs directed at her. And she told and she reported it all to the league, but then also said that, quote, I haven't heard from Cathy in years. Or that was her partner, Dewana Bonner, that mentioned that, who was also tied into the situation because she had a moment herself in the game prior that the Mercury and Fever played. So it's just been a not great look on the league part to look like they neglected this situation and even allowed it to get to this point.
Yeah, and that was meme-orific, right? If you have been on social media the last couple of days, you have seen that Sophie Cunningham meme going around. And so part of the problem here too, Sophia, at least to my eyes, is this proxy war that exists on social media, where you have a group of folks who want to turn this. You mentioned the black versus white the issue that is at hand has been co-opted by online trolls and folks who want to just engage in the racial part of this. And then that makes it difficult to discern, okay, Caitlin Clark fans or just people online who want to act this way anyway. And I feel like there's not a clear answer for how the league, the Fever, the players, the coaches, how they deal with that.
There really isn't. I mean, the internet is such a wide space that, yes, if you're on it, you are subjected to a lot of this stuff. But I think what a person like Alyssa Thomas would just hope for is that it wouldn't even get to this point where these polarizing figures shouldn't be allowed in these spaces, because the WNBA historically has been such an open-minded and inclusive space that is now turning very decisive with a lot of hate directed at it. And so that's where I think that the league, or the players are hoping that the league will step in and get more involved just to recreate that narrative surrounding the league and get it more to being back to that safe space for everyone to just be who they are.
Do you think that's possible as long as Caitlin Clark remains a superstar player in the WNBA?
I do. I mean, from my conversations with Caitlin Clark, even from some of the people around her, they all talk about how, I mean, she's a very stand-up woman herself, and she interacts very well with the media. I would just say that the thing that would really help her in this case is speaking up. If she just were to say a couple things and advocate for all these players that are experiencing so much of the just racial and hate directed at them, she would be someone that to be that voice and to calm it down. So it might be dependent on her. And I do think that if the league still wants to continue thriving and to be a place where the players can just feel how they want to feel and be who they want to be, because that's only going to help the talent on and product on the court, that it is definitely achievable.
Stay up to date all year on the WNBA by subscribing to Locked On Women's Basketball on your favorite podcast app. Coming up, the Bears are going to implode so hard they'll miss the playoffs this season. It's not even my take. The Chicago Bears may have won the NFC North and made a leap forward in 2025, but not everyone is buying them as a playoff team again. Locked On NFL host Tyler Rowland and Michelle Majuk broke down why Chicago could be primed for a step back in a tougher division, what could go wrong after last year's breakout, and why the Bears may end up missing the postseason altogether.
See, Michelle, I wanted to play the clip and let Lauren set the stage because I believe in the Bears this year. I do think that they're going to win the NFC North, at least as things stand now. I have a lot of concerns about the other teams in the division. And we're going to talk more about some other teams in the division, but we'll dive into it. I don't know how I feel about the Packers with Micah Parsons and everything going on with the Lions. So I don't know that I disagree with your points about the Bears' regression. I just think that my lack of faith in the other teams in the division keeps me believing in the Bears.
See, I have a lot of faith in the Lions, and I have some faith in the Vikings, and the Packers will be in it. They'll be competing for a playoff spot. It might be hard for them to get into, but we'll talk about that a little later. So I still think this division's going to be good. It's just I don't see – I will not be surprised if it's the Bears sitting out of the playoffs this year.
Professional teases there from me and Michelle getting you ready for segment 2, where we talk about some more teams in the NFC North. We focus on the NFC North. Honestly, we might just hit all 3 of them at the same time because it's such a compelling division.
And finally, the New York Jets catch strays from everywhere, and now they're getting dragged during the World Cup. France has now won twice at MetLife Stadium in this World Cup, beating Senegal 3-1 and Sweden 3-0, which means the French national team already has as many wins in that building as the Jets had in the entirety of the 2025 season. That is brutal, mostly because it's just not even complicated math. The Jets win 3-14. France needed a couple of World Cup games in East Rutherford to become a part of the punchline. And somehow MetLife still belongs to somebody else. Even Kylian Mbappe has more positive memories there than most Jets fans. It's tough stuff. Coming up, make it 7 straight losses for the Yankees as they inch closer to the All-Star break. Is the fall legit, or does New York have a turnaround in store? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Presents Locked On Sports Today.